The insane master run continues into Master 4. We are now on an 11 win streak. Playing 2 matches later today, was able to get in one right after work and then did some errands. Came home, was able to get in another one. Now I decided to record this video. We're going to take a look at an updated FLOOWANDEREEZE deck list though. So we're on an 11 win streak, 4 from Diamond 1, 5 in Master 5, and then 2 in Master 4. So before I actually show you the deck list, we're going to take a look at these 2 matches. They're pretty quick, but you're going to see the difference right away. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Quantum, why would you change a winning formula? This deck got you a 9 win streak, getting you from Diamond into Master and then all through Master 5. Why would you change it? Well, because I can still spot the issues with the deck. Okay, just because something is working okay doesn't mean you can't spot the deficiencies, and you got to make adaptive changes. That's exactly what we're going to do here. Now, in these videos, we do win the coin tosses finally, so that helps, but you can see what the change is. We've added Fossil Dyna back into the deck. Why did we do that? Because FLOOWANDEREEZE with 1 Empen suffers going first now. That's crazy to say, right? FLOOWANDEREEZE, a deck that normally dominated going first. But you can see here the Fossil Dyna, if the opponent doesn't have Imperm, or a way to out the Fossil Dyna, then you are limiting them usually to normal summon, and if you have a way to deal with that normal summon, you're golden. So in this instance, you know, thankfully we had the unexplored winds and the one of Trap in order to make our Eaglin live to get the Empen to tribute summon with the unexplored winds over the opponent's normal summoned Seyfert. Now they can't play through in main phase 2, whereas if they would have been able to beat over the Fossil Dyna, Dragon Link just goes full combo in main phase 2, and we likely lose. Maybe not because we have Dark Ruler, but it'll be hard to resolve our effects. Also take note that when we activated Trap and normal summon Eaglin, 1 Ash would have beat us there as well, right? So was this deck overpowered with 2 Empen? I don't think so. In this next matchup here, you already know what the change we've made is. Let's take a look at how the synergy might work. Again, we win the coin toss and we're going first, so I need to play a little bit more, although I am not really motivated to play, to be honest, with 4 days left in the format, but let's see, or in the season. Opening hand, not the greatest, but we do have the Fossil Dyna once again, so if you haven't guessed, maybe we're playing more than one. We'll reveal the deck list after this. But we've got double Pot of Extravagance. We open Shifter, we see the opponent's on 55 cards. Always make a note of what the opponent is on. This is a grass deck, Ishizu Chaos, Punk, Bestials, things that like to use the graveyard, so Shifter does work against them. So of course, main phase 1, Ash check on the Extravagance here. No Ash, we chain Shifter. Do you want to chain Maxx C? No? Okay, that's fine. You know, the nice thing about Labyrinth being in the format is people probably think off of the Extravagance you might be on Labyrinth as well, so they might chain Maxx C. But it's fine if they don't. So we do draw into Empen, which turns our Advent live, and I don't make the same mistake I did in a couple videos ago where I was kind of on autopilot on the tablet and I searched for Eaglin. I'm on the computer and I knew to search for Toucan. So again, paying attention. The Toucan, of course, grabs the 1 of Empen, unfortunate. Should be at 2 or at least or 3, but hey, it is what it is. Empen now is going to only bring back the Robina on summon here so that we can chain block with the Toucan in case the opponent draws Ash for turn. And we search Dreaming Town. We're going to normal summon the Fossil Dyna off the Empen, because remember, off Empen it says you can just normal summon 1 monster. It doesn't have to be a winged beast that you normal summon. So you might have been tempted to, hey, normal summon, start normal summon with Fossil Dyna, prevent any plays from the opponent, no halveness, etc. Nope, nope. You definitely want to start with the bird so that you can end on the Fossil Dyna if you have to use your normal summon for turn, because otherwise you're depending upon you adventing away for map, and then you need a second bird in order to play, which is normally fine if you do have map, but this is the setup you have to go for. So we're kind of protected with the Dreaming Town, sorry, and the Book of Moon. So on normal summon, we don't do anything. Attempting to go battle phase, that's when we activate the Dreaming Town. Normal summon Robina, chain block with the Toucan, and you already know the name of the game. This Robina is going to search the Eaglin, which is going to search the Ryza, which is going to be our protection for the Fossil Dyna by spinning back the Seyfert and also restacking Shifter, keeping the opponent on the Shifter lock here. The opponent attempts to activate Dragon Ravine. It doesn't do anything. They can't extend because Dragon Link can't play under Fossil Dyna, and it is what it is. So if we take a look at these opponents' decks real quick, this is the reason why Empen went to 1, because people were complaining that they were bricking with Bestials against FLOOWANDEREEZE, right? People are just annoyed. I can't play against FLOOWANDEREEZE. My deck doesn't do anything. You know, their deck is too strong. No, it's not. It was a tier 3 deck before. Sprite, Branded, Tearlaments, Dragon Link, even Rika was more powerful than FLOOWANDEREEZE. So don't give me that you know, the deck is too OP. It's not. It's actually easily beatable. We still lose to like one hand trap, to be fair. You know, there's ways you play around it, and that's why you build your deck the way you do, but we'll get into that in a second. So yeah, this opponent not necessarily completely dead under Shifter because they're playing the Thunder Dragon cards as expected. Some kind of Ishizu, no Ishizu cards, that's crazy. Wow, okay. Some kind of Dragon Link Thunder Dragon combo deck. This card single-handedly beats us as well. But we're going to get into some of the tech cards with the updated deck list. Taking a look at this one, also on Dragon Link. Kind of weird that both players open Seyfried in more than 40 cards, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, also a Dragon Link deck. You know, when FLOOWANDEREEZE goes first and we don't brick, we can beat Dragon Link pretty easily because, again, we can interrupt their plays. But again, with only one Empen, it's a lot harder to do. So with that being said, let me try to explain it. We go to edit deck here. I took out the Harpy's Feather Duster, the Lightning Storm, and the Harpy Dancer. Well, Quantum, what the hell are you talking about? Harpy Dancer did so much work in that Sprite matchup. Yes, it did, and it does work in about 1 in every 10 matches. Otherwise, it doesn't really work as intended, and it's just kind of an extra card, a win more card, or it doesn't really do anything. So I'd rather trade that out for some card that can actually make a difference, floodgate the opponent at least. You know, with the Book of Moons as a defensive option, I can protect the normal summon that the opponent summons. You saw there, like, I had the Book of Moon. If I bricked and I couldn't get my combo going, or the opponent ashed me, if they normal summon Seyfried, attempt to beat over Fossil Dyna, I just Book of Moon the Seyfried and I keep my Fossil Dyna for one more turn. Or even I beat over the Seyfried, right? Because it has 0 defense. So, you know, this combination helps you play through bricks. At least if you draw this is a 1-card stun card. This card, just like with what the intention of Duster and Lightning Storm is supposed to do, this card shuts off the Labyrinth cards. Whereas, you know, start of main phase 1, if they haven't activated their Labyrinth cards, you start with priority, normal summon Fossil Dyna if you know you're going against Labyrinth, right? Say they furniture away 4 cards, 2 furnitures and 2 discards to set Welcome and Big Welcome, and then you start your turn with main phase 1, normal summon Fossil Dyna. Both of their traps are turned off, Fossil Dyna beat down, right? And Labyrinth doesn't really play all that many removal spells. Dogmatic of Punishment, really the only one. They don't really play Compulse, and they expect to search their utility traps off of Silver Castle, which if they don't set up in the beginning, they're not going to be special summoning it under Fossil Dyna. So I didn't find these cards having as much of an impact as I thought they would, so I've removed them. Now, being an old school player, I do like back row removal because I come from the era of 3 MSTs, Heavy Storm, you know, Jinzo, because you were afraid of Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, Call the Haunteds, things like that. But, you know, you just have to kind of, I guess, accept the fact that if your opponent floodgates you, if you can't out the floodgate with Unexplored Winds, you just lose. The big one that works against us is there can only be one. But hey, that's where Fossil Dyna could come into play. If you have Fossil Dyna and say you hard draw a tribute monster and you hard draw an Unexplored Winds, you activate the Unexplored Winds, you tribute over your Fossil Dyna, which is a rock, and you bring out a Winged Beast and you out the there can only be one. Same with Skill Drain. Skill Drain, you know, you can set up your bird still, especially under map. The goal is to get the Unexplored Winds. You can see how powerful this card is. This is your engine to out cards on the opponent's board. Now, before I move on to the other change, Empen at 1 matters, and this is why we put in 3 Fossil Dyna. Because when your Empen is on field, which is what you set up turn 1, obviously you saw that Dragon Link match, we set up Empen turn 1 in the second match, you don't have an Empen left in the deck that you can use dynamically during your opponent's turn, and that really kills FLOOWANDEREEZE's follow-up, right? Because you don't get the extra utility off of Unexplored Winds. You saw what happened if you watched my previous video linked in the description, where when you can summon Empen multiple times, Harpy Dancer, banish it with Advent, bring it back with Toucan, summon it again. Like you start outing the opponent's cards by tributing over them. But you need more Empens to do that. So they really should not have limited Empen because it really is the heart and soul of the deck. You need to search it on turn 1 so that you can search for your trap. You need to search it during your opponent's turn so that you can continue summoning and get some utility off of your Unexplored Winds, assuming you can even set it up. Because at least with 2 Empen, turn 1, you can set up all 3 power spells and traps, and it's a good combo setup. But with 1 Empen, at most, you can maybe set up 2 if you don't hard draw into the other one. And that's where the Patchy comes in, where it makes up for that like downfall of not being able to set up a proper combo. Because during your opponent's turn, you know, you activate Unexplored or Dreaming Town, you throw up a Snowl, that's it. You throw up an Avion, that's it. You don't have the multiple continual summons Empen into another small bird, into Apex, tributing off your cards, getting rid of 2 cards. That dynamic disruption during your opponent's turn is what FLOOWANDEREEZE is supposed to do. It's what it did in the past. It's what it was designed to do. It's why the deck was good. So they've actually tried to really kill the consistency, but also the core engine of the deck with the Empen to 1. And this is why it matters so much. In a best of 1 format, I understand map being at 1. If you look at the TCG, map, Empen, and prosperity are all at 3, right? And the deck still has consistency issues. In a best of 1 format, map at 1, like I said, is understandable, but you don't need to hit the heart and soul of the deck, of the engine. Konami, you need to unlimit this card. Why would you hit a tier 3 deck like this? Like, you want people to play cards that play into Maxx C. You want people to play Dragon Link and you know, all these other decks. If you look at, again, the video that I posted right before this one, where we went up against that Sword Soul player, if you're able to set up full combo and then you're also backed up by Maxx C, if I'm playing Sprite or Tier Limit, like, I just lose. I sat there for, you know, 5 minutes watching you set up a combo, and then the first thing you do is activate Maxx C in the draw phase, and I'm just like, well, I lose, because if I try to Ash it, you know, I probably use Ash during your turn to try to stop you from comboing, but you still combo through it. So if I try to Ash it, if I held my Ash, you're like, nope, Baron negate. If I try to call by it, you're like, nope, Dragite negate. And now I'm playing under Maxx C, where you still have multiple disruptions to stop me. And it's just like, I can't win, so I just scoop. So I don't really like playing decks that play into Maxx C. So you could play Labyrinth as well, but again, that deck is a whole other kettle of fish to learn how to play properly in ranked mode versus the event. Because if you watch my videos again, you know that I've been cooking with that deck in the event. But the event is a much slower format. Ranked mode is a different beast all entirely. Now that being said, you might think, Quantum, you don't need to be complaining this much. Just play a different deck. This is your fault for playing FLOOWANDEREEZE. Yeah, but for people that invested in these decks and like to play them, you know, these decks aren't that hard to beat, guys. FLOOWANDEREEZE isn't that hard to beat. Honestly, like you saw in those 2 matches I posted, like, one hand trap, I lose. You play around the Patchy, Imperm, I lose. You Ash Blossom my Eaglin, I lose. Like, you get full combo, like, I just lose. So anyways, it is what it is. The way that I built this deck is obviously geared more towards going second, because I'm very used to losing coin tosses. You might have a different experience, so you can play more going first cards. But if you wonder why I don't play cards like Featherstorm, I get that question a lot. It's a dead card going second, and I go second a lot. So it's an amazing card going first. But yeah, it's a card that you probably should play now that Empen is at 1, because if you get stopped, you're going to need a card to help you. But again, you're relying on drawing it at this point, or potting into it, right? So it has the same consistency issue. So the other change that we've made is we've cut Book of Moon to 2, which again, you could argue, nah, I want to keep it at 3 because I'm playing Fossil Dyna and I want extra protection for it in case I brick. I can Book of Moon the opponent's normal summon monster. But I've also opted to cut the 3rd Book of Moon for a 3rd Dark Ruler. Now, the reason for that is just because I'm not seeing as many Imperms, so I don't need to use Book of Moon as a defensive option. Veiler is pretty much non-existent right now too. And when people summon Elf or summon Carrot the proper way under Elf, so it's protected against being targeted, I can't Book of Moon it like you saw me do in that Sprite match. But I can still Dark Ruler the whole field. So I'd rather have Dark Ruler in hand than Book of Moon, and I'd rather be digging for Book of Moon off of a pot card rather than trying to dig for a Dark Ruler. Because again, if the opponent already establishes the board, if you have a pot card, they can just say, I'm going to be negating your stuff, so you're not even going to be able to dig. So having the Dark Ruler in hand ahead of time is more beneficial than having the Book of Moon in hand ahead of time. Dark Ruler and Book of Moon serve the same functional purpose for offensive reasons. I Dark Ruler a Baguska, I Book of Moon a Baguska. I Dark Ruler a Dragostapelia, same thing with Book of Moon, right? The only difference is Book of Moon is a quick play spell, it's targeting, and obviously it flips it face down, and you can still do damage, whereas Dark Ruler just negates the whole board, non-targeting. That is not a quick play, so, you know, if your opponent ends up summoning Dragostapelia in the battle phase, or you go battle phase attempting to evenly match and your opponent activates Starter bringing out Carrot, you're like, oh, well, you know, can't Book of Moon it, obviously, if I have a Dark Ruler in hand, and you know, I wish this Dark Ruler was really a Book of Moon, but how often do you see that? Like, rarely ever, right? So the Dark Ruler just has more utility because it covers a more variety of decks, right? Against Dragon Link, for example, this card does wonders. And the fact that it can't be negated by monster effects is just all the more powerful, stopping the Baron, the Borreload Savage, the Borreland, etc., right? So that's why I've made those changes. The last thing I want to go over is kind of just my motivation to play. With 4 days left in Ranked, being in Master 4, I'm just not feeling it because, you know, when you're on these win streaks, on an 11 win streak, I just know the game is going to have me D-rank. And it's not a skill issue. I mean, it probably is. I mean, it's the deck, right? It's a skill issue. Just build a better deck. But the worst feeling is like just losing because your deck bricks you, and it shouldn't brick you. Empen at 1 again, it's just like, it's so hard sometimes to get the right cards. You have to play a number of things, like you have to put in 3 Fossil Dyna. You have to build your deck entirely different because of the 1 Empen. And if it was at 2, you know, you don't play Snowl, you don't play the Fossil Dyna probably. There's a lot of other things that you could probably tech in for the deck to make it more consistent. And yes, while you could play more like Jack in the hands and maybe more cards to try to be more consistent, the deck is still going to brick you. And you're not going to be able to play out of it as easily with just 1 Empen. Trust me, I know. And because of that reason, you feel like I'm losing matches and I'm going to get D-ranked. Not because I played bad, where I deserve to lose. It's because I chose to play a deck where I invested my points to construct it, and Konami just continually hit it down, making it more and more inconsistent, where it already had consistency issues. And, you know, I don't want to play a deck that plays in a Maxx C. And so, you know, I'm sticking with it, and I know I shouldn't, so you shouldn't have any sympathy for me, because the answer is really just play a better deck if you don't want to brick. Play a deck that bricks less, you know, then you'll be able to play, right? But yeah, now I'm dealing with even more, you know, stuff in the format, like Maxx Cs and whatnot, and then you're just going to be led to the same frustration that, you know, a lot of other content creators have, where you're winning, losing, which is a part of the game, and that's totally fair. But I don't want to lose 3 in a row to the fact that I just brick, or I'm just getting constantly floodgated by Maxx C, right? Which happened to me in the Synchro event. I think I put up just like a 70, no, not even, like maybe a 60% win rate. I lost a lot more in the Synchro event because I just kept getting Maxx C, and I'm like, I'm playing all the Maxx C negates, but I'm just not drawing them. It's crazy. So it just feels like, you know, I'm eventually going to run into this problem. And as somebody who, as you can see from the timestamps here, doesn't play because I work like 9 and 10 hours a day, I don't play all that often. I only play like late into the evening. If I D-rank, I don't have the time. I'm not a content creator. I'm not a streamer where I play like 10 hours a day. I don't have the time to sit there and just try to grind through a million matches again to get back up into in the upper ranks. So I don't know. Maybe the game just isn't designed for people like me anymore. You know, I don't know. Am I being too pessimistic? I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just laying it out for you guys. It just feels like the game is not motivating me to play. I think it would be good if they put in another stopgap, maybe at like Master 3, because being like just, yeah, D-ranking from Master 3 to Master 4, it's just like, I'm not going to go through another 5 wins just to get back to Master 3 and try to get another 5 wins, net plus 5 to get to Master 2. Like, yeah, it's just the grind. I don't know, guys. It's too much for me sometimes with the time constraints. People have lives, like they're busy, you know, it is what it is. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for my rant video, I guess, and the updated deck list. If you stuck it out with me, I appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.